Hey, it's Graham, and today I'm here to do a review of a book that I've just finished reading called 13 by Steve Cavanagh. This is a courtroom drama, it's a thriller. The tagline is, "The serial killer isn't on trial, he's on the jury." Oh, where do I begin with this? So, it centres around a murderer called Joshua Kane. He is a master of disguise, and he is a mimic. He can make himself look like other people, sound like other people, move like other people. He can carry himself like other people if he studies that person, and he basically stalks them. But he has to kill the person that he's studying and stalking and learning how to be like, because obviously if he wants to pass himself off as that person can't then exist. So the story centers around a murder trial of a Hollywood actor called Robert Solomon, or Bobby. His wife Ariella Bloom and the head of security Carl Tozer have been found dead. A year previously they were murdered. Ariella was stabbed to death, and Carl Tozer was apparently beaten about the head with a baseball bat. All the evidence points towards Bobby Solomon being the murderer, because this is what Joshua Kane does. He murders people and then frames someone else in that person's life, and then he ensures that he gets onto the jury of the murder trials, and it also ensures that the person who is on trial gets put down for murder. Now obviously in the States, some of the states in America, the death sentence is still a thing, so execution is still very much on the table. So a lot of the people that he's had accused of murder and that he's sat on the jury for, basically he's a jury tamperer. He will ensure that all the rest of the jurors see it his way without giving away the game that he's the murderer. He ensures that they give a guilty verdict back. So enter Eddie Flynn, who is a defence attorney, and he used to be a con artist before he found the law. He is drafted in by Carp Law, Rudy Carp, who is another defence attorney who has been employed by the movie studio, who has a movie coming out that stars both Bobby Solomon and his wife Ariella Bloom. But obviously they've had to keep it on hold because of the murder trial and the fact that Ariella Bloom has been murdered. So yeah, enter Eddie Flynn, who, along with the help of FBI agents, he realizes that there's a pattern to all of these deaths, and they're attributed to a murderer who has been who's not been caught. He's never been caught, and his crime spree has lasted for decades. And it all leads back to dollar bills that have had like pen markings put on certain parts in the design of the dollar bill. I think it's called the Great Seal, they said, and it's got stars, and it's got an olive branch and an olive leaf and the eagle and all that, and it all pertains to places that victims have been murdered in, how many people there have been murdered and all that kind of thing. And the dollar bill is found sometimes in their bodies, like stuffed down their throats, or anyway, or around the murder scene. So yeah, the whole book is it's written. Eddie Flynn's portion of the book is written in first person, so it's like he's telling the story, and then Joshua Kane, the murderer who has since become someone else, it's told in the third person. And how he gets onto the jury, he stalks a potential juror, and then he basically murders the guy. He shoots him in the head and then dissolves him in a bath of acid in his apartment, in the juror's apartment, and then basically drains the bath, gets rid of the bones, just gets rid of the bullet, and then rinses the bath out, and then he becomes that person. And the scary thing about Joshua Kane is he doesn't feel pain. So there's a scene in it where he willingly breaks his own nose to make himself look more like the juror, and it's just so, ugh, he just doesn't feel pain. And then there's another scene, he gets stabbed in the thigh, and then he makes sure that his temperature, when he's healing, his temperature doesn't go too high, and that he's got antibiotics and all this. And you just think, oh my god, you are so good at what you do, but it's an awful thing that you're doing. But yeah, it's really good, and it's so well written. It's so snappy, and it's got its finger on the pulse of law. It's so good. Courtroom drama, with the occasional bloodbath thrown in. Like literally about 10 or 15 pages from the end, you are thrown a massive curveball, and you're led to believe that Joshua Kane is playing the part of a certain juror on the jury, and then you find out that he's a completely different juror, and you've been led in the wrong direction. You've been led up the garden path, essentially. It's so good. I didn't realise that this was part of a series. This is number 4 in the series, so oops. I like this. Will I go out and buy the other 3? Maybe, possibly not. While I found it good, it wasn't really my cup of tea. It was, I don't know, if it's a courtroom drama, I prefer it to be a courtroom drama. If it's a murder mystery, I prefer it to be like blood and guts and gore. And it was kind of a mishmash of the both. Well, while it was very, very good and so well written and so twisty, the twists in this and the sleight of hand is just incredible. It's so good. But it kind of felt like it had its fingers in too many pies along the way, and yeah, will I maybe buy maybe, but maybe not. I don't know. The jury is still out on that question. Oh, sorry, that was a cheap shot. That was really cheap. But yeah, I got this in Tesco's. It was like on offer. I think it was like £2.50. And it sat on my TBR for ages, and then I thought, do you know what? I'm going to read this in 2019. I started it on the 3rd. It was my first book in 2019, and I only finished it like the early hours of this morning, the 21st. And maybe if I'd read it a bit, what's the word I'm looking for? If I'd read it a bit more quickly, I probably would have gone with the flow of the book a bit more. But I've been crazily busy, like very, very busy, surprisingly so for January. But anyway, yeah, that's my review of 13 by Steve Cavanagh. Read it, it is very good. If you are a fan of courtroom dramas and bloodbaths and murder and serial killers, yeah, you need to read it. It's so good. I love what it says on the back. The murder trial of the century is here. A ruthless prosecutor, a brilliant defense lawyer, a defendant with a secret, and a serial killer on the duty. On the jury. I can't read. Why am I on BookTube if I can't read? And some of the things that have been said about it. I mean, Ian Rankin has has blurbed this book. Great hook, and the book lives up to it. It does. It lives up to it. Absolutely. It's so ingenious. It's so good. Read it. Read it. I'm now going to give this to a girl in my work who I discussed this with, and she thinks it sounds great. I won't be sad to see the book go, because it isn't very pretty. Let's face it, it's not. So yeah, off it goes. Make room for another book. Well, that's my review of 13 by Steve Cavanagh. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your support. I have over 100 subscribers now, and that's incredible. I know that there are booktubers with like hundreds of thousands, but I only started this booktube channel in December, the end of December, and I've already got over 100 subscribers, and thank you so much. And yeah, thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon for another video. Thank you. Bye.